So another little tip I have is that when you have something that is carded like this, you don't really know which the right end of your thread is. So there's a little test you can do. You can hold it and bring your fingers down the thread like that, turn it around and go the opposite way. You will feel that one way is smoother than the other, and I can feel that this way is smoother, which means that I need to cut my thread here, thread my needle, and do my knot at this end. So I want my needle at the end with the smooth thread going down, so that as I'm stitching with the twist in the thread and not against it. The other little tip I have for you is about bullion knot needles. So I had worked very closely with Tulip in order to develop these needles. They were developed for myself and for a sashiko artist, a Japanese sashiko artist, and we came out with the long bullion knot needle first. So the long regular, this one here, is more like a size 1 milliners. So, and then later on I asked them to do a smaller one, which is the short fine, and that's more like a 3 milliners needle. So the beauty of a bullion knot needle and why people love them is that when you feel them like this, the eye of the needle is smaller than the shaft of the needle, and you can actually see it there, how much smaller it is. So what happens is when you do lots and lots of wraps, it doesn't hesitate to pull it through the wraps. And we are going to be doing bullion knots with 24 wraps today. So I just thought I would introduce you to these needles if you're not used to them or aware of them, because they do change the satisfaction of stitching very long stitches, because you can keep much better tension on your stitches. Okay, so today this is our sunflower using the 3 weights of House of Embroidery. The first thing I'm going to do is show you how to set this up, which makes it really quite easy to do your spacing. So I actually used our 1.5 inch circle template. And what is really cool about these is that when you draw a circle on the outside instead of a circle on the inside of a cutout, you get a much better circle. So I've drawn a 1.5 inch circle, which I'll draw on my wool, and then I made a little line at each one of these marks like this, which will give you 16 marks like this. And I did these all on my wool, like that. So what I did then is the inside is a buttonhole filler stitch. So this is a 1.5 inch circle, is a buttonhole filler. So what I did was I did it in number 3, so 3 weight, and I did a back stitch on my circle like this, and then I did my buttonhole filler and filled the whole circle with the buttonhole filler. And I liked it because it's really chunky and it gives for a nice center of a sunflower. I then used these markings to make my overwrapped bullion knots like this. So what I did was I made a bullion knot from mark to mark like this. So what was really nice, I could get a nice evenly spaced bullion knots all the way around. And these bullion knots had 24 wraps. And this is where I did use the regular bullion knot needle because I had so many wraps on it. If you don't have it, you can use your number 1 milliner's needle for it. I then came back with, so that was with number 5 weight, and then I came back and did a double cast on the end of each of those with 14 wraps, I believe, or 14 cast-ons, sorry, 14 cast-ons, and I used a 3 milliner's needle with a number 8 weight thread, so that's not wraps, it's cast-ons, sorry. And then I came back and did French knots over the whole thing to do like the seeds in the center of a sunflower, and I used a number 3 eleganza, so it was a thick one, with this big number 15 milliner's needle, and I did 3 wrap French knots in there. Okay, so if you don't have our Circle Easy template, you could use your Spoke Easy tool. You are going to mark at the end of the 1.5 inch circle here, like that. You would twist it halfway and mark in the center of these. And all these marks would be the points that your bullion knots would come. So you could do a back stitch, but you need to extend these out before you do your back stitch, otherwise you will lose your markings. So extend them out like this, and then do your back stitch on the dotted line, and these will be your markings to do your overwrapped bullion knots. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do a overwrapped bullion knot with that sort of spacing. So I've got my bullion knot needle, and I'm going to come up, take about the 1/4 inch, it's about where our markings are, and bring my needle up at the knot right here. And now I'm going to wrap, so I'm wrapping 24 times. Like that. So you can see 24 wraps. It's quite a lot of wraps. So I'm going to pull this through and sort of hold on to these wraps. Pull your thread through and pull it up and bring it back down. So when you're pulling it round, you want to make sure that you pull it tight enough to get rid of all these little wraps at the end, and you will have a little overwrapped bullion knot like that. So it's pretty nice and textural. We're going to attach them afterwards with little double cast-on stitches right there. Well, I hope you enjoy working on your sunflower today, and I will be back tomorrow with the next flower.